Hi guys, today we're going to talk about multiplication and division equations, or how to solve equations that have multiplication and division. Remember, when you are solving an equation, always do the opposite operation. Always, always, always. So if you're multiplying, you need to divide to solve it. If you're dividing, you need to multiply to solve it. So let's look at a couple of examples. Here I have 4x equals negative 32. Well, this is where we mess up in math. There's actually an operation between that 4 and the x. It's actually 4 times x. We just get lazy and don't say it. Don't feel bad. Your math teacher does too. So, 4 times x, what would be the opposite? How to solve that? Well, you would have to divide by 4. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you need to make sure you do to the other. So I'm going to come over here to the negative 32 and divide by 4. Remember, that fraction bar is actually a division sign. Well, why am I dividing by 4? Because if you think about it, if I were doing something like 8 divided by 4, that's actually the same thing as saying 4 times 2 divided by 4. Well, those 4's cancel out, leaving me with just 2. So the same thing happens over here. I cancel those 4's out, and I'm left with just x, which equals negative 32 divided by 4 equals 8. And because I have different signs, it's actually a negative 8. So x equals negative 8. What about my other problem? Negative 6 times x equals negative 72. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. And a lot of people, it helps to draw that line. Well, negative 6 divided by negative 6 is going to be 1. If you think about that, negative 6 divided by negative 6 is just positive 1. So I actually have just one x left. And I make sure it's a positive x. So x equals, well, negative 72 divided by negative 6. If I go back to my 3rd grade math, 6 times what gave me 72? That was 12. And a negative divided by negative is a positive, so x equals 12. Let's look at these examples. T divided by 8 equals negative 4. Well, if I'm dividing by 8, then the opposite is to actually multiply. Or you could look at this as a fraction, and if I want to make it an 8 on bottom, I need an 8 on top. So I could actually multiply by 8 over 1. And I can do the same thing over here because it's 4 over 1 and 8 over 1. It won't matter in the end. But knowing this, I can cross cancel over here because they're both divisible by 8, and that leaves me with just 1. So I get t equals, well, negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. Okay, what about that last question there, guys? You have y divided by negative 6 equals 15. So I need to multiply by negative 6 over 1 so that I can cross cancel, leaving me with just y over 1, or y. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 15 times negative 6, well, 6 times 5 is 30, and you carry that 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. I have different signs here, a positive and a negative. So I get a negative answer. So y equals negative 90. Now remember, if you have any questions, make sure you write them down in your notes, and I will cover them tomorrow in class. Thanks, guys.